Could one of these players be the missing piece of the next Spurs dynasty? What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. Came across an article from Athlon Sports talking about, the Spurs possibly trading for one of these players. And I thought, Spurs fans, if the opportunity is there, should we trade for one of these players? I'll give my opinion after each player, but let's get into the article first from Athlon Sports. Zion Williamson. When Zion is healthy, he is a top 15 player in the NBA. That's if and when he's healthy. No one is more physically dominant in the paint, and no one is more explosive. For his size, he has a 45-inch vertical. For somebody that big, that just should not be possible. His weight has been a concern since his days at Duke, but he has slimmed down in recent months and is allegedly playing at his lowest weight ever, 264 pounds. Gosh, that's his lowest weight ever. He's such a big dude. If the New Orleans Pelicans decide to blow it up and rebuild, Williamson is their hottest asset, and the Spurs could cash in before his value skyrockets. Over his last 20 games, he has averaged 25 points, 7 boards, and 5 dimes while playing very underrated defense. Okay. The Spurs will likely have to part ways with more draft picks than players to land Zion and would have to make room for his almost $200 million contract. But when there's a will, there's a way. Next, what's up, Lauri Markkanen? But let me get my thoughts first on Zion. The talent. Trading for that talent, yes, that's an absolute yes. But I lean more towards no. He is injury prone. Do you guys realize he has missed more games in the NBA than he has played over his time in New Orleans? And he's set to make $40 to $44 million over the life of his contract. The only way I would say yes to this, if this was a trade similar to the De'Aaron Fox trade, where we gave up way less than we thought. Maybe something like Vassell and Barnes for a salary match, and then 2 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders. And then looking at, his shooting, we can't start Sohan and Zion. The floor spacing would be a nightmare. And just looking at the collective starting lineup that would be presumed if we traded for Zion, you got Wemby, Zion, Castle, Fox. And then player to be determined. Maybe one of the draft picks, Cooper Flag. Sorry, that'd be ridiculous. But you got a lot of guys that are sub 3-point shooters. Wemby, the only legit 3-point threat out there. Unless Castle turns a huge corner in the offseason and Fox turns a huge corner, that would just not work. You have a lot of guys that can kill it with the 2-ball, but the 3-ball would just not be dropping. So I'm more towards no, just because the injury history is such a massive concern. Up next, something that's been in trade rumors 8 million times and will continue to do so as the Jazz are in full-on tank mode. Lauri Markkanen, here we go again on our own. Lauri's getting traded. No, okay. That was bad. Ultimately signed a contract extension in August. Lauri Markkanen was the name to watch in San Antonio Spurs trade rumors. The sweet shooting power forward would open up the offense for Wemby and give De'Aaron Fox an elite threat to kick the ball out to. This is true. If the Jazz land one of the top 3 picks, you know what? I gotta say, I'm rooting against them. Their tanking is so obvious and blatant. Yeah, screw them. If they land one of the top 3 picks, which they probably will though, expect them to be fully ready to rebuild, and if the Spurs are willing to part with some of their draft capital, Lauri could be on the table. All right, so let me stop for a pause and talk about Lauri Markkanen. It's kind of the same thing with Zion Williamson. I like the talent, but a player that is also injury prone. The remainder of his contract, he's set to make $46 to $53 million a year, and he's having a bit of a down year. Well, the whole Jazz team's having a down year, so maybe his trade value is down a bit, but I think I'm still where I've been with Lauri Markkanen. This is too big of a contract for an injury-prone player. I know you're like, TSR, Zion's injury-prone too. Yeah, that's trading for players with big contracts that are injury-prone is just not something I see the Spurs doing. Never say never. Look at all the trades that have happened in the last decade that I probably wouldn't have thought would happen with the Spurs. From Kawhi Leonard to Derek White to DeJounte Murray to Jakob Poeltl. There's been a lot of surprises. This is one that not so much. And last but not least, Devin Booker. Kevin Durant is the most talked about name on the Phoenix Suns roster, but his age and contract simply do not fit with the Spurs timeline. I 100% agree. That's the one reason there's other reasons I don't want KD, but that's the first glaring thing. Booker had his best seasons playing off the ball with Chris Paul running point, and swapping the orange and purple for the silver and black and Paul for Fox would be an upgrade in so many ways. That's fair. If the Spurs trot out a starting 5 of Fox, Booker, Wemby, Sohan, and Castle next season, it's hard to imagine them not being title favorites. Fox, Booker, Wemby, Soin, and Castle. My only concern there, again, actually floor spacing a bit of a concern because we got Castle, Sohan, and Fox, sub 33% three-point shooters. Although I think Sohan's shooting 34 or 35 now, but very limited sample size. Anyway, would that lineup still be too small? Are we playing Castle at the 3? He's 6'6", 210. Certainly, I know he would not be afraid to put the effort in there, but then you got Sohan at power forward. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that would be 3 former All-Stars, or current or former All-Stars in that lineup. It's hard to imagine not being fan favorites. Booker is quietly still a top 10, 20 player in the league. He's just been on a dysfunctional team for the last 3 seasons. My goodness, have they been dysfunctional. Booker would be a lot more expensive than Zion or Lowry, but the Spurs have the means to go big game hunting this offseason, and the fit would be unquestionably good. Would it? All right, my thoughts on Devin Booker. Devin Booker team. Hard no. No, no, no. This is not because of the talent. It's because of his contract. $53 million next season. $57 the following. And the final year of his contract is $61 million. Which happens to be the first year of Wemby's contract extension. I don't know all the in and outs of the new floor tax and the CBA, etc., but we cannot afford a contract like that with Wemby and then Castle's extension. The contract does not work. So to wrap things up, Spurs fans, if I had to pick one player, it's probably obvious. I'm leaning towards Zion. He is the biggest injury risk, but he's also the youngest with the smallest contract. So this is kind of like the high risk, high reward thing with him. He's an exciting player when healthy, which he hasn't been much. And if they did get Zion, if the Pelicans totally decide to blow everything up, which is possible, Spurs would have 3 former All-Stars, or current, depending on how you look at it, Zion, De'Aaron Fox, and Wemby. That would be an exciting team to watch. I don't know how the fit would be, as that's a three-point shooter getting into the starting a non-three-point shooter. You got to expect Castle to start next year. But if it happens, I would be rooting for him. But honestly, Spurs fans, I don't see this happening. I don't see us getting any one of these 3 guys, but we're going to probably see a lot of, well, I'll probably do more content like this because as the Spurs continue to not win, we're probably going to see more and more sites like Pounding the Rock, Air Analyst sites that I pull articles from, doing more future, looking more forward with the Spurs instead of looking at the present. But I'm still looking at the present too. I'm watching stuff on Castle, and I loved what he did in the 4th quarter last night. I don't know why he keeps getting in foul trouble every game early now. Of course, he was going against a guy that draws fouls. That's enough on that. I don't want to close with this. You know what? For those of you that weren't in the live last night, Jeremy Sohan got thrown out last night for fighting. He threw the ball at the other player, lightly threw the ball. Absolutely should have been teed up. The other guy went and shoved him, and Jeremy just stood there and just looked at him and got thrown out. That was an absolute BS call. I don't get it. The refs suck. The officiating's been pretty bad for the last few years. And the officiating's been bad for a decade. Who am I kidding? I'm being kind. But Spurs fans, drop a comment down below. I am very curious. Would you want any one of these 3 players? I think we probably talked about Lowry Markkanen enough on this channel from previous videos. But if he's available for the right price, would you want Zion Williamson? Devin Booker, he's available for the right price. You know, giving up 2 players for salary match plus 2 so-so first rounders, and then we have 8 million second rounders. You have 2 second rounders or 3 second rounders, whatever, or pick swap, whatever. Would these be players that you'd be interested in, or do you think they would not fit with our projected starting lineup? Hit the thumbs up, like, support the channel, subscribe to become part of our awesome Spurs community. I thank you, and as always, go Spurs, go.
Go Spurs, go!